Suffered heavy damage in the storms, and a privately owned pier was wiped out in Malibu. There are no realistic estimates of the cost to repair and replace them yet, but you can bet that it will be more than $10 million. Amazing work by local photographers capturing the destruction of the Crystal Street Pier in San Diego as it happened, as well as the violent shortening of the Santa Monica Pier. The harbor master's office, 2 shops, and a cafe went in the drink. The one at Seal Beach was cut in half. Paradise Cove's all but disappeared. The Malibu Pier, one of the more modern ones built in 1945, is about gone too. One of the piers that survived was the one at Manhattan Beach. Just a week before the storms, structural engineer Ken Kavaman certified that it was sound.
And I said that the pier appeared to be structurally sound with no problems. I covered myself, saying you need an in-depth survey to really tell, but I was sure worried that it would go down after I had, but it is a concrete pier, and I went down there Saturday morning at the high tides, and the waves were crashing, but it was taking a real fine.
The old wooden piers didn't take it so fine, but there may be problems if the county tries to rebuild them from scratch.
Now there's an awful lot of environmental constraints and constraints regarding the use of our tide and submerged lands, and a lot of entities, people and groups feel that maybe it'd be better to leave them in a natural state. So it might be hard to get through all the environmental and coastal hearings to actually build a new pier.
The mayor of Santa Monica knows rebuilding her pier will cost more than $8 million, because that's just about how much they had budgeted to renovate the historic dock before the end fell off. What are the chances you're going to get the money needed to fix it up again?
Pleasure in today's economy is also dollars. We have a recreational economy here in Santa Monica, a tourist economy, a determination that access to the beach and to the area is very important for the public. So that I think this kind of pier serves a very important function. It is also, to some degree, a boating facility. There's no question that the economic impact on the city, if the pier were not to be restored, would be devastating. We certainly in Santa Monica will restore it, whether we get the federal help or not.
A lot was lost from the old pier, but some of it may be recovered. One scuba diver told me that he and his buddies are just waiting for the water to calm down, and then the scavenging will begin. Rumor has it that the harbor master's safe is down there, but it's unlikely that there's anything very valuable in it. So don't go looking. Tomorrow morning, engineers from the Army Corps and from the state will tour the Santa Monica Pier to get an estimate of the damage. If they can get a federal disaster declaration, there may be some money from Washington to help in the renovation. The Seal Beach City Council is meeting right now to figure out how or whether to pay for the $750,000 bill to fix their pier. The folks who own the Paradise Cove Pier, the Kissel family of Malibu, say that they don't know yet if they will try to rebuild, but they do have some insurance. There's really no reason to have these piers at all except for fun. That's a pretty good reason, though. A lot of people think so. John has more on that.
Well, here's to those people who have never enjoyed that feeling of strolling out past the breakers, or have spent some hours fishing, or just people watching on the piers of Southern California. Losing a pier really is no big deal. But to the rest of us, it's like losing an old-time friend. There aren't as many of them as there used to be, and maybe that's why those left are so special. Quickly, here's a thumbnail sketch of the big ones. Paradise Cove between Malibu and Zuma, the only privately owned pier in the area, frequently seen in movies and TV features, co-starred in The Rockford Files, Charlie's Angels, and Heart to Heart. The Manhattan Beach Pier, the iron pier built in 1901, destroyed by a storm in 1913, reconstructed in 1923 with reinforced concrete. An extension of 1,000 feet built in 1928 was destroyed by 2 storms in 1940 and 1941. That part was never rebuilt. Seal Beach, constructed in 1906, rebuilt in 1939 at a cost of $110,000. The Seal Beach City Council is meeting right now to decide what to do about last week's storm damage. The Santa Monica Pier is the biggest in the area. Actually, it's 2 piers built together. The Loft Pier, built in 1916, that's the big part with the arcades, and the Long Pier, built in 1921 by the city. Nobody who lives in Santa Monica really believed the city would ever be without a pier. After all, there was a big movement to do away with it in the 60s and the 70s, but the public would have no part of it. It's hard to capture the magic of a pier or a boardwalk in words, but there is a man who can do it.
The red car line used to come from Los Angeles and bring all these people down on weekends dressed in their Sunday best. And when they got to the end of the streetcar line, which was at Santa Monica, or rather Venice, and then down to Redondo Beach, San Pedro, and Long Beach, at each dead end of a streetcar line was a swimming pool and a pier. And people would promenade on the pier, would have a seafood dinner, maybe take a swim in the bathhouse, and then take the red car back.
Old Green says the storms come and go, they always have. The piers will always fall into the ocean sooner or later, and we will always build them back.